Industries that are hot, sectors set to outperform the market. That's what's here in Zacks Industry Rank Analysis. Time to check out another interesting industry on the move with Charles Rotblut, our senior market analyst here at Zacks.com and the person who keeps tabs on all of these industries that are set to outperform for us. And on your radar this week, you've got the furniture industry. Actually, it's part of a broader industry group, furniture and retail home furnishings, but we'll just say the furniture industry to make it identifiable for everyone. What about the furniture industry is showing some signs of promise here?
Well, it's interesting. When I ran the industry rank this week, I saw both groups actually appear in the top 25 of all industry groups. Now, obviously, we're in the middle of a recession. Housing remains in a slump, even though we have seen about 4 months of improvements in both existing and new home sales numbers. It's not surprising to think that furniture is in a slump, and that really is the case. When you look at the drop in sales for both Ethan Allen and Lazy Boy, huge double-digit drops in sales. But what we're seeing is that maybe analysts got a little too pessimistic, and that's a common thing that I've said several times about various industry groups, and that seems to be the case with furniture, is that no, the fundamentals don't look good, but we're starting to see forecasts being revised upwards and maybe some hints that maybe the furniture industry itself has reached a bottom. Doesn't mean they're still not going to have tough times ahead, but I think relatively speaking, things are starting to look a little bit better. Analysts are starting to raise their profit forecast. So if you're someone who's aggressive, who really is looking for an early stage turnaround play, and I want to point out this is not an investment for everybody, but if you have the tolerance for risk, it's certainly one place to consider looking at.
So when do you think sales for these furniture stores might begin to turn up?
You know, I think it's hard to say. Possibly next year. I think part of the reason, part of the thing we don't know is I think we'll have to see what effect the removal of the first-time home buyer credit has on housing. Obviously, you buy a new house, you want to furnish it. Right. One thing that was interesting, actually, on Lazy Boy's conference call, they discussed how people were no longer buying whole room sets. Like they wouldn't go in and necessarily buy a whole dining room set, but instead they might go in and buy one piece of upholstered furniture, say like a couch. So people they're scaling back. Some of the higher end customers are now coming into the stores like Lazy Boy, which is still nice furniture, but relatively speaking, not obviously the upper end. And so some people are cutting back. But I think as you see the economy improve, I think you will see some sales for these furniture companies go up. Now, the timing again is uncertain. We'll have to kind of watch the housing numbers, but it makes sense as we get in 2010 and as we see the employment situation start to stabilize more, it would see that consumers would feel more confident. They'll start putting money back into their furnishings. Obviously, everybody wants to have a nice house, and obviously, all furniture has a certain lifespan, especially if you're not buying the top-end furniture. Yep. So there is a natural replacement cycle going on. But it does seem like the worst is over. Still very, very early. I think we're probably looking at the bottom for the furniture industry right now. And I think like the economy, it's probably a long recovery for the group. But right now, it does appear that there could be a trading opportunity in some of these stocks.
So, and you mentioned a couple of those opportunities here in your piece this week. You're looking at just a trading opportunity, not a long-term investment opportunity.
Yeah, I think from a long-term investment opportunity, if someone's looking at it, it could be an early stage recovery. And I think if someone wanted to look at it as an early entry point into a long-term investment, I think they need to go in with a very high tolerance for risk, realizing there could be some bumps and bruises, and realize these companies are losing money. So from a fundamental standpoint, these companies aren't jumping out like, hey, this is a stock that's really undervalued. These companies are losing money. Sales have been cut. But I do think if you're looking for something to actually get early on and maybe look for a long-term cyclical play, it is an opportunity for investors. But to understand that you're looking at a very long process and there is a high level of risk involved. So I don't want to kid anybody and say these are the best investments out there right now, but it is certainly an opportunity.
We've talked about retail here frequently, you and I, in these pieces. Any other areas of retail right now that are showing more signs of optimism?
Well, overall, we're starting to see a lot of the retail industry groups actually appear towards the upper end of the industry rank, and the reason why is they reported after everybody else. But I think that some of the trends we've talked about before, particularly looking at discount retailers, looking at some of the brands that maybe have catched on and people are gravitating to, that's really where you want to look at. I'd still be a little bit worried about some of the higher end retailers. But on the flip side, and I actually mentioned it really briefly in here, Williams-Sonoma, which sells high-end cookware, they actually came out and raised guidance. Again, not great performance, but certainly better than analysts had expected. So I think people need to look for the companies that are topping expectations. Retailers, we are seeing earnings estimates being revised upwards. And certainly, I think right now, the best place to be in retail is really still your discount retailers, your TJ Maxx, those type of companies, your Dollar Tree, because people are remaining frugal and they're being careful with their spending. But I think if someone's willing to look and separate the good from the bad, there is opportunities in the retail sector.
Okay, and as far as the furniture retailers are concerned this week, Charles names names in his text version of this industry rank analysis. So you'll want to go to Zacks.com's homepage if you're looking at this video from outside of there, and go scroll down the page until you get to the industry rank analysis headline, banner, and the headline under it, and click on that headline. That's the link to this text version of Charles' industry rank analysis for this most current week. With Charles Rotblatt, our market maven, I'm Terry Ruffalo.